for, the chance to surprise themselves or to be, more brave than they thought they could be, or, be part of a team and have these wonderful women to look up to. So I am so grateful that camps like this exist, and I'm so happy to be a part of them in any way I can be.
Great, thank you, Allie. And again, I want to remind you, if you've got a specific question for one of the panelists, please type that in the chat section, and we will try to bring the question up. Justine, can you share a little bit about who you are and how you got involved?
Well, I'm a 17-year-old grade 12 student, and pursuing a career as a firefighter has always been, I suppose, a lifelong interest, but it was at the beginning of high school when I really, truly became serious about it. I was just looking up various firefighting videos on YouTube, and that's when I stumbled across, I guess, a news broadcast that had been done covering Camp Fully Involved in New Hampshire, and at that point I was really sold when I got to see all the hands-on things that they got to do. And from that point, so I attended in the summer of 2011, and then I attended it again in the summer of 2012, and then 1 week later I ended up attending Camp FFIT in Ottawa, and it was ironic. I heard about it actually when I was on Florida on vacation. I visited a fire station, and there was a female firefighter there, and she's actually the one that informed me about Camp FFIT and gave me all the information about it.
That's great. Thank you, Justine. And just to let everyone know who's on the webinar, Justine is being given 2 awards today and needs to leave a couple of minutes early. So if you've got a specific question for her, please make sure that you get that in. So let's talk a little bit about any of the things in terms of what specifically, Laura, inspired you. You talked a little bit about that you had never really heard of the fire service before as an opportunity for women. Was there anything else that you want to share that might help some of the people on the webinar?
Sure. I mean, to be honest, I think what we're seeing throughout the fire service is not enough women. But if we hear and start talking about our own stories of how we got involved, hopefully that word is going to spread. Of course, it's going to be that team effort and leadership from the top that helps us kind of pave the way for these younger women coming in. So I wanted to say that, throughout my career and experience and exposure to the fire service, I've seen the glaring issues with not enough women. And so when I became chief, basically a battalion/deputy chief, it was at that time where things actually, as you do promote through the ranks, things can occur a little bit easier because you actually have some power and control to make them happen. And knowing that there's a need in our community, again, Cheryl Horvath and myself just said, let's do it. And we didn't really hit too many obstacles because I think we both have a positive and focused vision to say, what do we need to get it to do to get it done? And that's exactly what we did. And luckily, we gained support, obviously, along the way and built a wonderful partnership with the Girl Scouts that just continues to grow. And we actually are considering expanding our camp this year to more public safety, which would be police and fire, which, to be honest, at first, I was a little opposed to, but at this point, my thought is that the more young girls and women that we can bring into these camps, that will hopefully build leadership skills, teamwork, and really build self-esteem for them to realize they can do things that they never probably thought they could do. We will continue to build young girls that are ready for non-traditional jobs.
That's great. Laura, thank you. One of the things, Laura, that you mentioned that I think is really important, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about this, and Andrea, you can also chime in. Laura, you talked about the fact that when you got to a chief's position, you actually had some more influence in being able to make some things happen. And I think that that whole idea of getting the proper stakeholders involved when you're going to start a camp program like this is really critical.
It absolutely is. And again, in my position and with the support, from Cheryl in the Northwest Fire District, again, we just made it happen, and we presented something that couldn't be turned down because it wasn't really going to cost a whole heck of a lot of money, and we were going to have volunteers that did it, and we were willing to put in, our time to make sure that it was successful. So we didn't get a lot of opposition, but I would tell you in hindsight, I know there is certainly value in those stakeholders, and obviously the number one stakeholder is the top leadership in a department, and also getting some union buy-in that will help make your camp successful. However, I would tell you, again, I'm pretty goal-oriented and determined, so if I didn't have that support, I still think these types of camps can go on because there's very, very little, more resources is better, but I think you can still obtain a camp or a service to these young girls that will provide them experiences that will help them to open the doors to a career in the fire service. Equipment and resources is extremely valuable, but having those stakeholders in place is only going to benefit you. But again, I do believe that if you set your mind to something, you can make it happen.
Great, Laura. Andrea, what did you find out about getting started? Anything that was really critical that we can help the people to get a better understanding of?
Well, I would say you definitely need buy-in from your coworkers, as well as management. But you might want to start small and definitely involve your coworkers because they're the ones who have daughters and will help you promote it. And we do want, I wanted men in my program helping teach as well because when these young ladies come to the fire service, they're going to be working mostly with males. So it's not, my camp really wasn't about excluding males, it was about educating and informing young women. So that's the way I sold it. You need a lot of supporters, and you'll have non-believers in it from your work, but you just have to work around it. That's just an obstacle, and maybe start your camp small. Instead of doing a great big week-long camp, you could start with an afternoon or a day and then expand it to a weekend and then grow from there.
Fantastic. Now, you made an excellent point, and that is that you also need to be enrolling your male counterparts in the department to help to see the vision of what the camp can do for the department. Is there anything at all that you've learned specifically around that, Andrea, in terms of how do you get male firefighters on board?
Well, there's always the key group of people that are supporters, right? I was a member of the Black Firefighters Association, so automatically they were supporters, and then you build from there, and you get those people to help promote it within the fire service for you as well. And it helps too that you now that I'm more established, I try to see if we can, instead of people all volunteering their time, you try to get them time off and you feed them, and little perks like that helps a little bit.
So food works just like it does in the fire station.
Food always works.
Yeah. Anything else that I know, Andrea, you put together a business plan, right?
Yeah, I put together, I think it's about a 100-page business plan. I originally presented it twice, and people thought it was a good idea, but just didn't think it would fly or something. So then I said, well, I need to do this more formally, and I put together the business plan.
Great. Laura, did you have a business plan?
Yes, we had I don't know, it wasn't a 100-page business plan, but we certainly had a plan in place and kind of that checklist of things that needed to be accomplished to make it happen, of which our all calls. There's plenty of resources in there. Again, just a template that you can, take from as much as or all that you want to help you.
You faded out just a little bit, Laura. There was some background noise. I don't know if a rig was pulling out of the station or not. But so you've got a booklet or a guide as to how people can follow what you've done to help get their own program started. Is that correct?
Exactly. We have a handbook that all of the attendees on this call should be able to get access to. Again, it's just a template, but it's kind of our plan and things, checklists, things need to happen for our camps to take place, including just different forms, liability forms, and that kind of thing. So take from or take all, whatever's needed.
That's great. And we'll have a copy of that. It will be in the resources that all of you have access to when you go to the resources section for this webinar. So that guide will be available after the webinar. Sorry, go ahead.
Larry, this is Laura, sorry. If I could just add, we do also have information on the iWomen website at i-women.org. We have a whole area of different camps and camp resources. You can also use those on the call.
Great. And we can't reinforce enough what a great resource iWomen is. If you aren't a member, it is definitely a great investment. So I have no problem promoting iWomen whenever I can. Chief Harold Wright from Cincinnati typed in a question, and he wanted to know if any of the panelists know about any inner-city camps. Do any of you know about anything?
This is Allie. I don't off the top of my head, no.
You mean like boys and girls camps and stuff like that? Sports camps?
No, I think he was, I don't know for sure, and Chief Wright, you can go into the chat if I'm not asking the question correctly, but anything specifically focused for inner-city kids, with a real target audience.
Right. This is Laura. Of course, I wouldn't consider Tucson an inner city by any means. However, we are the second largest city in Arizona. But I can tell you that our camp for southern Arizona is really outside camp as well, out of state. But we do focus on making sure that every kid has an opportunity to be in the camp, and that the cost of the camp, $150, is not an obstacle. We have been assured through the Girl Scouts where you we never want to exclude for those who are economic groups participating. In fact, that's something that I feel extremely strong about. We want to make sure that we don't exclude. So not necessarily inner cities. I don't know of any, I'd say, bigger cities having the camps, but more power to you, and I'm not sure where you're from, but start one in your area. And again, you can start small, build, or basically build it, what your community needs are. Okay, in Tucson, we actually started a couple other Camp Furies in the state, and one brought to Yuma, Arizona, and it was a 2-day. It started out as a 2-day day camp. And they put it for days. Kind of community.
Laura,
Yes,
you're fading in and out, and we're getting a couple of comments, and we can hear it as well. So I don't know if you're moving back and forth. It sounds like there's, I don't know, maybe a fan or something going on in the background that's drowning you out a little bit.
I'm actually hearing that as well, so it's not from my end. I'm actually talking right into the phone.
Okay.
So I'm not sure why I would be fading in and out.
Okay. Welcome to the modern world of technology.
This is Andrea. I have a comment on that. Reference our camp. We have kids from all over the place. We have some kids that are well off. We have kids that are from youth at-risk programs from our community. We have a good mixture of campers, and the camp is 100% free. Instead of paying cash, they have to write an essay on how to improve someone else's life that's less fortunate or how to improve their community. Instead of paying cash, they have to do what they say in their essay. That way, no one's paid, and the essays aren't graded on spelling. It's on, you know, the effort that you're putting in the idea.
And I don't know if anybody is on the call. One of the camps that is part of a large city is Houston, and we've got a resource in the resources section for contact, and so they might be doing something that's really focused more on inner city. So let's move on. Justine, I'd really like to get you involved in the conversation to talk about this from a camper's perspective. You know, what's been your experience?
Well, I guess with all my experiences with going to Camp Fully Involved twice and then Camp FFIT in Ottawa this past summer, I guess I've had a wide variety of experiences in the sense that 2 different countries, so very different, I guess a little bit different approaches and things that I got to learn, meet people from all over, and just gain a lot of confidence through the experiences, doing the hands-on training, overcoming challenges and fears and whatnot, and making really great contacts, both with instructors and coordinators, but also with my fellow campers, the girls. I've stayed in contact with a lot of them through the past couple of years and made some really great friendships.
Fantastic. Allie, how does Phoenix Fire Camp, do you know, get the word out and enroll both campers and counselors?
I know a lot of the counselors, at least 6 or 7 that, you know, I became friends with this past year, are all either active or, you know, very recently retired lieutenants from the FFIT. So they are already this tight-knit group of women that, you know, support each other in what they do. And then as far as like apprentices or, you know, counselors that are closer to the camper's age, you know, in the 2 years that I've been involved, when kids come, you know, when girls come, they're coming back, whether it's as a counselor or as an apprentice or on the like reunion day that they have towards the end of camp. So they're not hurting for people to help out, which is great. And as far as getting the word out, I know that, you know, a lot of the girls go back and they tell their friends. A lot of the girls have primarily dads in the fire service. I know a couple girls, you know, have dads who are fire chiefs and whatnot, and fortunately were encouraged to attend the camp. So I don't know specifics, but I know that if anything, they're having to turn people away because they just can't fit all the girls in the Utica Fire Academy. But yeah, they have a great turnout every year.
That's great. Thomas Munoz had a comment. First of all, he said that, yes, Camp Houston is really focused on working with inner city kids. So that's a response to the question that came in from Chief Wright. He also put a question to the panel, and that is, has the media or the public affairs department in the fire department really been utilized to help spread the word, both about the camp, for enrollment, in terms of sharing some positive stories? Can any of the panel members take that on?
This is Laura. Camp Fury, we have definitely utilized the media and our resources through our public information officer. Each of our camp years, the media comes out usually on the first or second day and you know, does a news story. So we absolutely utilize our public information officers to get the word out about camp, what's going on, why we're having it. And sometimes we'll also get them to come back on our graduation day and again, get more media coverage. So it's helped a great deal.
Great. To Allie and Justine, there's always a lot of talk about using social media. Do the two of you have Facebook accounts? Have you been sharing about your positive experience? Is there a buzz going on?
Absolutely. I have a personal Facebook page and then one also for my book. And after my experience both times with the camps, there were pictures being put up, and the campers were tagging me in pictures, and friends I have in the fire service all over the country, male and female, were commenting on the pictures or texting me or whatever, saying, "What is this? What were you a part of? I've never really seen anything like that." So it's really cool to have that outlet and that platform. You just put stuff up and people are going to see it and they're going to ask you about it.
Justine, how about you?
Yeah, I've definitely used Facebook to my advantage for sharing my experiences with both of the camps, mostly through pictures, I'd say. A lot of my friends here from school and people I know have looked at them, liked and commented, and they're definitely sparked an interest for them and thought it was really neat what I was doing. And Facebook is also has been my best friend in terms of keeping in contact with everyone that I met. And with the two of the camps being farther away, it really is the best option. With most of my friends I made being all over the United States, from France, all over Ontario as well, it's just really helped me keep in contact with everyone that I've met along the way.
That's great. Stephen LaRosa chatted in with a question, and it had to do with asking about any involvement at all from your local IFF or IFF on a national or international basis in helping to promote the camps.
This is Laura. I mean, if no one else wants to pipe in, we actually have not utilized our union as effectively or really at all. However, I think there's so much value in bringing in the union to help support these camps. We did get a little bit of resistance, or not necessarily from the union, but just comments out there of what you brought up earlier, Larry, in regards to why do we need to have a girls' camp, and is it discriminating against the men's or the boys? And I actually have dealt with this in a couple ways. I mean, one, I either engage to educate why we need to have women's camps or girls' camps throughout, and the biggest reason is, as we can see, is there is a void of women in the fire service. And through the National Report Card on Women in Firefighting that came out in 2008, we recognize that the data shows we should be at 17% of women in the fire service, and we're just not there. And we need to make efforts to change that. So, one, I either address it through trying to educate of why, we talk so much about diversity and inclusion in the fire service, but what are people actually doing, and how can we make an effective change to our numbers? However, if I meet resistance and I have somebody that's not going to be responsive or even care to listen, I don't even waste my time in those because all I can try to keep focus on is the goal and the purpose of why we're doing what we're doing, and kind of move that train forward and leave the others behind, because I don't have time to waste on people that are going to be closed-minded and not get the full picture of why we need a diverse fire service. So I don't know if that answers to it specifically, but just some of my input.
I think what it really speaks to, Laura, is having a strategy to enroll people to get the vision, and really understanding how it might meet other people's needs as well as your needs if you're getting a camp started, and choosing the right messenger. And maybe it's not the woman who wants to start the camp or the person who wants to start the camp. Maybe you end up finding a better messenger. Maybe it's a male firefighter who's seen as a leader in the union, and you get one person on board and then they take the message because they'll be heard in a very different way. And that's not putting anything down about you or about any of the women who are inspired to start the camp. It's really saying who's going to have the influence.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. Being that messenger can be critical in any message that you're delivering. Right.
Andrea, you have a really interesting little marketing idea that you've put out. It's around a reality series. Can you take just a minute and share that?
Sure. I find it really important to document everything while you're going through the process, get people's comments, evaluations, pictures and stuff like that, so that you can use it as tools to market the camp for future years. And so what we did was we actually had we made our own introductory video, a 5-minute video and then a 15-minute video, and then we brought it to our local TV station with the idea that it would be really cool to do like a little show on it. And they came back to us with an idea of a mini reality series. So they sent 8 film crew to the camp for the entire camp, and we made a little reality series, and there's 13 parts. They're 5 minutes each, and it's on our website, campcourage.ca, and they aired it they still air it years and years later, and people still know about it, so it's good.
So it's about using the whole MTV model to promote the camp.
Definitely, and it's always good to have a website and put everything on the website, because it's better than you speaking to every single person all the time about every single detail. You can just refer them to the website. You can check out, the testimonials, pictures, videos, things like that. You can send your videos out to schools.
Let's talk a little bit about funding. That's a question that always comes up. Any members of the panel, have you found a way that's been really effective?
To elaborate on the MTV model.
Larry, this is Laura. To get our camp started, we actually wrote for and received a grant through the Southern Arizona Women's Foundation, and that basically got us started. With the foresight of Cheryl Horvath, we built a partnership with the Girl Scouts, and that partnership has really allowed us to be fully funded through our registration costs, but also funds donated for scholarships, of which I stated. I mean, they've guaranteed that if every single camper needed a scholarship, they would be funded. And then, obviously our camps run through by volunteers, and the grounds and equipment are all in-kind donations, from the Tucson Fire Department and Northwest Fire District. So the actual funding to actually run the camp, in my viewpoint, can be fairly minimal. But we're trying to build a cache of turnouts for our campers and for the camp so that we can sustain it throughout the years. But your costs can be down, but just based on what kinds of fundraising you can do. I mean, even if it's, how much, if you just need food and you got all the volunteers and equipment, you can budget and price accordingly, but you can go out to local Rotary clubs or, I say, women's groups that may support your cause and definitely find funding that way as well.
Andrea, did you have anything at all that you wanted to share in terms of getting Camp Courage going?
Initially starting it or maintaining it?
Funding.
Initially, I figured I needed $10,000 to start the camp, and I raised about $5,000 doing all sorts of fundraising activities, from raffles to car washes to everything, all these little things. I came to a crossroads where I thought maybe I might not be able to have the camp because I didn't raise enough funds, and that's $10,000 cash above the donations. Of course, you're borrowing equipment and facilities and stuff. So I was, at that time, I was going through a divorce, and I had like $5,000 left on my credit card, and it was either believe in this camp 100% or just quit. And I'm never a quitter, so I put the money in on my credit card, and it's interesting, when you believe in something and you work really hard, somehow things always turn out, because a week after the camp, there's a Canadian Fire Chiefs Conference in Halifax, and I was speaking at it for a few different things, but one of the things was I spoke to the wives of the chiefs, and I brought a couple campers in, and I got the campers to talk about their experience at the camp, and they had just finished a week of camp, and they were absolutely on cloud nine. They were almost jumping out of their skin when they were explaining it to the wives, and it really moved the wives so much that I had brought my gear to demonstrate some things, and one of the wives grabbed my helmet, and they passed my helmet around, and people gave checks and cash, and one of the ladies' auxiliaries was folding, and they didn't know what to do with their money, and they gave it to the camp. So never give up. It always comes around. If you have really good intentions, and you're trying really hard, it'll always work out.
So one of the things, and I happened to have been at that luncheon, and I was totally moved, but one of the learnings that I took away from that is maybe we need to be tapping into the spouses of male fire chiefs, because they've got to put up with a lot of with their husbands on a day-to-day basis. Maybe we need to tap into them as being champions for more women in the fire service. We're getting a couple of chats in. We got a comment in from Art Pierce, who's at the City of Madison. He's a deputy chief there, and he mentions that Lieutenant Jennifer Roman started camp in Madison this summer, and that was a really successful camp, and they got support from union leadership. We also got a comment from Vancouver, from Jen Dawkins, and she said that they used a strategy whereby they asked each of the municipalities around the Vancouver area that participated in the camp, and they all put in some money that covered the cost for some of the young women. Let's see. And so the local municipalities participated and helped to fund the camp. And thank you, everybody.
Andrea. Oh,
yeah, please. I was just going to say thank you. Keep sending in your stories, and I will be happy to try to relay them.
I also had corporate. This is Andrea from Camp Courage. I also have corporate sponsorship. We go to associations and clubs for funding. City councilors. We have city councilors here, and different events work. But initially, the union wasn't greatly supportive of the camp. But interesting enough, a male firefighter came to me this year and said that he would like to do a presentation on behalf of the camp to the union and ask the union for some money. So we'll see how that goes. So you never give up.
Great. So let's move on to another topic. And one of the questions that came in is, has anybody tracked how many young women from the camp have actually gone into the fire service? And I think that really brings up success and sustainability. I put it out. Justine, do you know, in the camps that you've participated in, is it inspiring campers to either become volunteers or to take tests and really pursue a career?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Not only has it had that effect on me, but I know specifically Camp Fully Involved in New Hampshire, their statistic is that 67% of the graduates have gone on to do something in the fire service, whether that's full-time career, volunteering, or pursuing exploring, or going into a major in college that revolves around firefighting. So definitely those are some positive statistics there that show the camps have good effects on a lot of the participants.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, this is Allie on behalf of Camp Phoenix. I just spoke to Anna this morning, founder director of Camp Phoenix, and she gave me some statistics that right now about 45% of their graduates from the past, 4 or 5 years have gone either into the fire service or into EMS, and looking at the statistics, not only do you have firefighters, but now you have lieutenants and captains and stuff like that. So, not only is this something that is affecting girls' careers, it affects them overall.
Andrea, anything from
I didn't do specific. Yeah, I didn't specifically do percentages, but we have 11 that completed fire school, 6 that are volunteer firefighters, 3 that are career firefighters, 3 that are completed paramedic school, and 3 that are paramedics, 2 that are in nursing, 5 in policing school like criminology and Bachelor of Fire Science. 1's an infantry soldier, and many are in the youth programs because they're still too young to progress.
That's great. We just got a message from Sue Jones up in Ottawa, and she said that Ottawa's got 13 young women who have applied to the Ottawa Fire Service. 2 are now volunteers, and we have 5 who have or are taking pre-service programs. So I don't know if anybody else who's on the call from some of the other camps has got any stats on that. Sue also mentioned that the Ottawa Camp FFIT just finished their 3rd year, so they've got this much activity going on with 3 years. Laura, anything at all that you've been able to track so far from Camp Fury?
I say we're still in our infant stages. We certainly track the numbers, of campers and follow those successes. At this point, we actually have some of our what we call squad leaders who have gone into the fire service with full-time firefighting careers. However, our campers at this point, we haven't seen those success numbers. But just to answer the question to what makes your camp successful, I would tell you, our positive feedback in our surveys, feedback from the parents, and then the community is a sure way to know that you're being successful. It's hard to put that into numbers, though, but the numbers will speak volumes, I believe, over time. Just through their positive experiences from the start of camp to the end, you certainly see the positiveness in the camp just through the skills that they've learned, the friendships they've built, and I want to say just their self-esteem and confidence that they carry with them after camp and back into their schools to spread the word of mouth of their experience, which again just kind of feeds back into our camp and to the community.
And I really want to support that, and it's something that we have seen in our work with Fire 2020, but also I spent a good part of my career working with young people, and if there is an expectation that this is only being done to generate more women firefighters, I think people are missing the boat. It's really an opportunity for young women's development, and when we begin to look at it from that perspective, it opens up a number of funding options, and I've shared this with some of our panelists and other women who have talked about starting camps. This is not just about trying to get money for a young women's fire camp. You're doing mentoring. You're talking about health. There are all kinds of things out there that foundations are giving funding for to support the healthy development of girls. And the fire camp can include many, many of those kinds of things. For example, pregnancy prevention, one might not think about that as being something tied to a fire camp, but literally if you spend some time talking about healthy development of young women, you can include that piece for maybe a 30-minute section in your camp, and you can get some funding because you're doing pregnancy prevention for teen girls. So if you think outside of the box, I think that there's a lot of new opportunities. Anything else that you are doing to ensure that the program is sustained? A lot of times when the founder of something either moves on or retires, something doesn't go beyond that person. Is there anything that any of you are doing to ensure that the camps are sustained?
This is Laura. I'll speak to that just briefly. I'm actually in the stages of that now. When we started the camp, I was a training chief, and being at training, it made it a lot easier to make things happen. I've since moved into the fire prevention division, and it makes it a little bit different, which I've pretty much taken ownership, but I'm now trying to, I want to say, put that responsibility to sustain this camp back at training where it belongs, which falls in line with that recruitment and retention of firefighters. So I am currently working to get the camp placed where it belongs, back in training and the recruitment side of the fire service in our department. So it's extremely important, I think, for that sustainability plan to take place.
I'd like to put this question to Justine because I really want people to hear from a camper's perspective. What has this experience been for you, and is there anything that they can take away from a camper's perspective?
Yeah, I definitely feel that with my camp experiences, they've definitely been life-altering in the sense that it gave me an immense increase in my confidence, both when it comes to wanting to pursue a career in firefighting, as well as in life in general, which is equally as important, I feel. And just talking with the women and all the instructors and hearing their stories about their journey into the fire services and challenges they overcame and whatnot is really incredibly inspiring, and has definitely put everything into perspective for me when it comes to pursuing the career of a firefighter.
That's great. One of the things that came through was people were asking about being in touch with each other because there's so many good resources coming through, and we did not ask people up front, which I apologize for, if we could share people's names and email addresses. So if you would like to have your name and email shared, we will be happy to put together a list and send it out to everybody who's in attendance today so that you can share more information about existing programs, new ideas. So upon the completion, please just send us an email to ff@fire2020.org, and we'll be happy to put together a list. We've got about 5 minutes left. Are there any other questions or any other final comments that any of the panel members would like to make? I know that, Justine, you need to leave.
Messaging.
Yeah, unfortunately I do need to leave, and I really do wish that I had the opportunity to stay a bit longer and share more of my experiences and whatnot. But as you mentioned, that we do have the list of our names and email addresses if you want to contact us with more questions or whatever, and I'd love to answer those. But I guess just on a final note, to anyone that is even considering starting up a camp like this, or is maybe in the process but has encountered some challenges and has felt discouraged, to really, I guess, keep your eye on the prize, in the sense that in the end it really is ultimately worth it. It's an extremely rewarding experience for all of the instructors, and especially for all the participants and campers like myself.
That's great. And congratulations again on your award. And how old are you, Justine?
I'm 17.
17. So would you say that the camp has impacted your ability to speak in front of people?
I definitely think so. Being at the camps, especially at Camp Fully Involved the second time around, I had a little bit more of a leadership role, having it been my second year. For some of the girls that perhaps were feeling really overwhelmed or beaten down with the whole experience, it definitely is an overwhelming experience, but a couple of the other girls that were returning took it upon ourselves to kind of speak in front of the group and motivate them and try to keep them, keep your head down, because in the end it really is worth it. And I feel that through doing that has really given me a lot more confidence for speaking in front of people and just helping people in general.
That's great. Thank you. Kim, Inucci sent in a question, and this gets us to the poll that we took earlier, and the poll results were 10% thought that it was discriminating, and 90% felt that it did not discriminate. And Kim's question was, have any of the camps been co-ed or considered co-ed?
Nope, not at Camp Courage.
Not at Camp Fury either. We do have a cadet program in Tucson where it is co-ed. So we do have another program for younger kids growing up that can experience the same thing.
Great. And any other thoughts at all?
This is Laura. I have just a couple thoughts. I mean, I really just want to, my closing is just, through partnerships, great things can be accomplished, and by learning from each other's experiences and customizing whatever that program is for your community needs, there's certainly a fire camp that's waiting, for your eager young girls in your community who never probably even thought about being a firefighter. So the more visibility that we provide by planting that seed, building these camps, I think we will begin to see more women seek careers in the fire service. Our Girl Scout Council leader, myself, Cheryl Horvath, iWomen, we're certainly willing to help whatever you might need to begin a camp in your area, because we do want to make a difference, and we're there for you. Again, you'll have access to our camp handbook. Use it if you will. If you have questions, please be sure to reach out, because we are there for you. And I really just appreciate people's interest in this topic, and know that help is there if necessary.
That's great. Andrea, any last comment? We've got about a minute left.
Just that, this camps like this, all these camps, they open the eyes to the young ladies to all the opportunities that are truly available to them. It allows them to make better informed, prepared decisions, not only in career but in life. It's an excellent recruitment tool for your workforce, of course. It strengthens the unity of all the people working at it from all the different divisions of your department. It's a positive project. Everybody's happy to work on it. They grow together. And even if the girls don't choose to become firefighters, they at least respect the profession and understand it.
That is
and learn
great.
Something.
Thank you. So we've come to a close. It was a fast hour. I hope that people got value from this. We are going to be doing future webinars about issues around diversity, recruitment, and retention each month, and you'll all be included on the mailing list as we put that out. Next month we're going to be doing a program on cadet programs and explorer programs, and in December we're going to be doing an LGBT webinar. So I really invite all of you to participate. Some of the comments and questions did not get addressed. We will put together notes and they will be sent out to everybody, so I just want to make sure. Marianne, I know that you put in a couple of comments, Marianne Hubbard from Austin, so let me just make a very quick comment if you didn't see her chat, and that is that Austin is going to be starting a camp in 2013, and Marianne made a comment about the difference between discrimination and selectivity in terms of empowering young women, and that's an ongoing conversation. So I'm sure that will continue. Let me turn this over to Cami Higa, who's going to close things out.
All right, everyone, thank you so much again for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you're able to gain some insight from our panelists. Again, please visit the materials section after the webinar to view more of our great resources. We do have Laura Baker's handbook from Camp Fury about how to start up a camp. We also have some quick startup tips from Camp Courage that Andrea put together. There's also more information about some other camps that are available throughout the country. If you do have any questions, please email us at ss@fire2020.org. And notes and a recording of the webinar will be made available to all the attendees. So it should be going out around next week. So look for that. And when you do get the recording, please feel free to share anything you learned, to share the recording on your social medium of choice, Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever you use. We really appreciate you spreading the word about all these great tips and resources. So once again, thank you to all of our panelists and all of our attendees. Please take time to answer our 5-question evaluation. It is going to pop up right after the webinar ends, and it will also be sent to you in a follow-up email. We really do value your opinions to see how we can improve your experience and to see what else you'd like to hear about for future webinars. Again, we will be hosting another webinar on November 14th about Fire Cadet and Explorer programs. The link to register for that will also be in the email we sent out to you. And again, thank you to our sponsors, Scott Safety, and our supporters, PBI, Lion, Tincada, and Motorola Foundation. So thank you again for all your time. If you do have any questions, feel free to call or to email us here at Fire 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Fire 2020.
Thank you.